Hello. I thought I've been streaming for the past hour. I was not. This is embarrassing. But anyways, wow. But yeah, Chainsaw Man chapter 199 came out today. Whew. The chapter opens with the Death Devil now telling the fake Chainsaw Man and the real Fammy that she intends to save humanity because if the it has to be her because if the next Death Devil came along, she might not be as kind to humans. The fake Chainsaw Man says, "Can you just not? Don't destroy humanity. Just choose to do not that." To which the Death Devil now says that on the day of the prophecy, it's going to happen no matter what. It's out of her hands. The real Famine Devil asks, then why doesn't she just let herself be eaten by Pochita? Because Pochita erases whatever he eats. So if he eats the Death Devil, then death will no longer exist. The fake Chainsaw Man act a bit confused at this suggestion. So this kind of implies that he is actually a human, because if he was a devil who worships Pochita, he would probably know that Pochita can erase whatever he eats. Oh, okay, so to that, Fammy, or the former Fammy, doesn't answer. She doesn't want to get erased. And this is perhaps because, so a couple chapters ago, we had the aging devil. He said that if, because he found out that humanity transforms into higher beings the longer they live. So if they never die, perhaps they will transform and evolve into other possibilities. Yoru, on the other hand, has something planned that is even worse than death. So perhaps the Death Devil knows that what other possibilities are and knows that she can't be erased as a concept. But anyways, the Death Devil, she starts eating. She summons a flock of crows to eat. And there's two ways to look at what's happening here. Either one, she's summoning the crows to eat for her, or two, she's summoning the crows, or she's not summoning the crows. The crows are just showing up for her leftovers, and she ate the two of them by herself. Both of these are pretty cool. Personally, I think I would prefer the former possibility, the one where she summoned the crows to eat for her, because first of all, the crows are a symbol of death, so that's a pretty cool parallel. Not really parallel, but more of like a symbolism. The Death Devil also stands on railings. She hangs out on rooftops looking down on people, so she, in a way, is very crowish. But more so than that, in the earlier chapters of part 2, we see a lot of crows. We see crows when Asa and Yoru were just walking around. We see crows when Yuko's down there hanging out with Asa. And I think we even see crows when the fake, I think one of you mentioned this, the fake Chainsaw Man is eating Yuko, or not eating, he's taking care of Yuko. The crows were on the rooftops as well. So a lot of crows. And the deeper implication here is that the Death Devil was always watching Asa the whole time. Which is why I like the first option a lot more. Although I do think the second option, where the crows are just here for the leftovers and the Death Devil ate them with her hands and mouth, is also likely, is because we don't see the fake Chainsaw Man or the real Fammy on the plate. We see the carcasses of the three other guys on there, but not quite the two of them. So both are pretty cool. I'd say the first one I enjoy more. But anyways, the Death Devil now turns the two of them into her emblem. She spits them out into their little tiny statue, the little smash trophies. The Falling Devil asked her why she doesn't just kill them to control them. Is eating them necessary? To which she answers that eating them, she likes her meat fresh and she likes to have good manners. So we'll get back to that in a bit, but the thing is that she also had an emblem of the Falling Devil, which kind of implies that she killed and ate her in the past. But that's a bit of a issue because Pinsui, the theme of Quan Chi, said that primordial devils, they are devils who have never died. So by definition, there's like a bit of contrast because if the Death Devil did kill the Falling Devil, then would she cease to be a primordial, or would she... How would that work? The definition isn't like an exact science, it's not like exact definition of what a primordial is, it's just her estimation of it, but that was the definition that we worked with for a while. There's also two kind of plot inconsistencies here, in that I would say even borderline plot holes here. The first is the emblem, because the Death Devil had the emblem of the Falling Devil last time when she returned her to hell. She turned her into this thing and left the head here. So the head shouldn't be part of the Falling Devil's form, because if you remember, the Falling Devil arrived on Earth and she killed a bunch of people, and then she used their bodies as like a combination. She merged them into her new form, which is that. So this head that's just the head of some random woman. So right now it should be rotting on the ground somewhere and not back in this form. So that's what I think is like close to a plot hole. The other one is in the past, when Denji fought the Falling Devil, he pounced on her and started eating her. To which the Falling Devil said that a chef should be eaten at least once, and she kind of implied that that was her first time being eaten ever. But in that case, if the Falling Devil did lose to the Death Devil in the past, and was eaten, then that statement is not true. So either the Death Devil defeated the Falling Devil and turned her into her pawn, or the Falling Devil is just doing this willingly. Which kind of explains why the Death Devil here is talking about how she likes fresh meat to keep the Falling Devil happy and subservient. But yeah, anyways. The Death Devil now summons the real Fami and the fake Chainsaw Man as her pawns. Fami punches the Death Devil, and the Death Devil had to stop the Falling Devil, her bodyguard, from cutting her into pieces. She then orders her two pawns to purge mankind into an abyss of terror. Or not purge, plunge. The fake Chainsaw Man seems happy to follow orders, while the Famine Devil, she is crying. So there's a bit of a confusion on whether how brainwashed they are. Are they conscious of what they're doing and their body just moving on their own, or are they brainwashed to the mind? Because the fake Chainsaw Man kind of suggests that, while the Famine Devil, not so much, because she's crying as her body is moving by itself. So, yeah. I guess the other thing actually I need to drink of water real quick. I've been talking for a whole hour. I thought I was streaming because the comments you guys were making in the chat were like completely related to what I was saying. So I thought like we were on the same timeline, but I guess not. Ooh. But yeah, let me read some comments. I have a lot to catch up to. Oh man. Death Devil mindset is the devil you know better than devil you don't. Yes. Let's see. Do do do. But yeah, I guess I'll just quickly glance over those. I guess some of you guys were saying that there's some parallel here to the way Makima took control of some of the weapon hybrids in part one. And I think you guys were talking about the Nayuta coming back by being controlled. I think Nayuta 1 is a bit of a interesting one because that's actually possible. I think it's also an interesting take on how the Death Devil's powers work. Because if the Death Devil eats the bottom half of Nayuta, is that would she still regain, would she still have control of Nayuta's powers and her personhood? Or if Nayuta just reincarnated already. So definitely a cool thing to think about. I think the parallel comments are also good in that it's a real possibility because in part one, Makima had some of the people that Denji met already fight him at the end, whereas it could happen again this time with the Death Devil, maybe throwing out like Nayuta at Denji, as well as some of the other enemies he's fought. In fact, you could also say that she will bring the other weapon hybrids back as her weapons, as her like mind control weapons. So that's a real possibility. Choo 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 choo. Let's see. Yeah, wow, you guys were talking amongst yourselves a lot more than. You guys were having good discussion by yourselves without me. Crazy. But yeah, no, it was like, oh, you guys talked about the crow thing as well. Hmm. But yeah, let's see. Let me read some comments that after I came in. Death control is extremely similar to how Makima control the weapon hybrids. Yes, yes, yes. Maybe Falling Devil voluntarily let Death eat her so she could move from hell to the human world. Her loyalty is stronger than the other devils Death has eaten. Yeah, the Death Devil does, or not the Death Devil, the Falling Devil does have more, I guess, personality compared to the other devil. I guess the other reference we have is the Guillotine Devil. He didn't really say much, he just yelled the whole time. I don't think that's how birds yell usually, but that's how Fujimoto went with it. Let's see. Oh, I guess one more thing I wanted to say was this whole thing, the day of the prophecy. So from what I'm seeing, the obvious prediction is that whatever Fami does, or the former Fami does, is going to lead to the prophecy as like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Although I don't know if I like that. it just feels like that's something that she would see coming. I think it's kind of a cop out if that's the case, because it makes Death look like a goober. That being said, I'm really confused on what her plan is going forward because she's been killing a lot of people, naturally making others afraid of death. Yet her plan is to stop death by apparently plunging humanity into darkness. So not sure where she's going with that exactly. My initial prediction, like before all this, was that she wanted to use Pochita to spit out the other possibilities at the end of lives to weaken herself so that maybe Denji, Asa, Yoru, whoever can put an end to her. It's still on the table, but with that being said, the direction that we're going with doesn't look like that's the priority. Doo -doo -doo. I had like a note card of things that I wanted to say, but I threw it away because I thought I was streaming the whole time. Oh man. But yeah, let me see. Um Since Falling Devil is being brainwashed, she might omit her being eaten from her memories. Yes, because Makima was able to manipulate the memories of her subjects. That being said, something I noted when I was streaming to myself earlier in response to you guys like comparing the situation to Makima's is that in part one, some characters were able to resist Makima's mind control, right? Because Angel was able to free himself and regain his memories, and Power was able to take Denji away. So they have moments of bravery where they don't think of themselves as beneath Makima. It's not really possible in this case for the Death Devil subjects because the Death Devil, she eats you. You're killed by her. So that's pretty objective. Whereas, thinking you are superior or inferior to someone, that's more of an objective, or not, that's a more subjective part. Did I say objective earlier? The Death Devil is like objective. Control Devil, less subjective, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't think the real Fami or the fake Chainsaw Man is going to break free like some characters did in part 1. Let's see. If anything, death has made humanity believe on the prophecy even stronger. Yes, that's the self-fulfilling prophecy part. Because I did make kind of a video on the future devil and his prophecies, and he only gives prophecies, like for important stuff like that, he only gives prophecies out if he knows that what he shows you is going to happen. So he didn't show the public safety guys or the other guys. He didn't fucking Nostradamus, that's the other guy. He didn't show them the visions so that they would put a stop to the Death Devil's shenanigans. He showed them the visions so that it would happen and they would suffer. Hold up, let me take a drink of tea. Oh man, I love tea. Tea is great. I made a really good pun earlier, but I forgot what it was. Dang it. Shoo. But yeah, let me see. Oh, I found my note card. Let me see if there's anything I left out. I neglected to say. Do, do, do. Actually, you know what? I think I covered everything I was supposed to. The past like 40 minutes to an hour was like the longest rehearsal session I've ever had for these. Oh my god. But yeah, let me see. Da-da-da. War Devil weapon mechanics might make Pochita Eraser power even stronger. Yeah, that's possible, but humans don't really know about Pochita's erasing powers. So it's like, I don't think they are the ones that's going to make Chainsaw stronger. I guess you can argue that the amount of chainsaw zombies out there might make Pochita stronger and in turn make his erasing power even more effective. That being said, I don't think his erasing power really needs to be buffed in the first place. It's pretty broken by default. It's like it either works or it don't. Although I would say that like some devils also have a bit of a resistance to Pochita's erasing powers because Makima was able to remember some stuff. Fami here, or not Fami, the fallen, goddammit, the Death Devil here remembers. Well, I guess Fami too. The real Fami kind of remembers as well. Um, yeah. But in a way, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't live earlier because I was mixing up Fami and the Death Devil the entire time. Because I've been calling her Fami for like the past year, as I should have been, because that's who she introduced herself as. But now that we have to switch up names, it's very confusing for me. But I've been getting better at that. I think I only miscalled her once or twice. Let's see. Sing also had a devil and the future goal. Okay. Yes. Really wonder what Yoru's plan is. Yeah, I can't think of too many things that would be worse than death under our current predicament. Or not even just death, the extinction of humanity. I think the from the Death Devil's silence here, we can maybe assume that at least she. Where's the panel I hooked up? Shoo, right here. It's like maybe she has an idea of what humans could become if left to their own devices, left to live for thousands and thousands of years. I don't know if it's the same thing that Yoru wants. Let me see. Let's see, was the pun about death drooling something fierce when she made the voodoo dolls? No, 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 it wasn't that at all. It was a very PG pun. So it's about her eating. But I don't remember. I was having myself a giggle. Shoo. Maybe Makima remembers something because the power originates from her Death Devil sister, which goes back to the Pochita eating death organs, making him so powerful. Yes, that's actually a really good explanation for why Makima remembers. Oh, okay, that's actually pretty good. I'm not too high on I wasn't too high on the idea of Pochita eating her organs to begin with. Um, because I feel like that's something recent from the way she showed the last chapter. Because the prophecy by Nostradamus was 400 years ago, 4 to 500 years ago. And from the way it sounds like Pochita's been around for centuries and probably millenniums. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like Pochita, their history has been way longer than that. So it would make more sense for the Death Devil to remove her organs in response to the prophecy instead of the other way around. But yeah, I do wonder what she did with her organs because she had to have done like put it somewhere. Um, I don't think Pochita did eat her organs though, because before Barum said that perhaps chainsaws have other purposes besides from cutting trees. So that's where I think Fujimoto might go with that. Instead, let's see, Flash her Fammy. She did flash herself. It was the most unsexy flash I've ever, like the least sexy panty shot I've ever seen in any manga. Let's see, Yoru just wants to get stronger. Worse than death is a little crazy. Yes, I do. I kind of didn't like the way Fujimoto did the hyping up Yoru's plan because Asa knows what it is. I feel she should just tell Denji. I feel there could have been a better way to write this part, but I'm not too stressed about it. Let's see. Endless war with no death is worse than death low key. Is I'm trying to think about this because I'm trying to put myself in this position. Because if there's an endless war, that's not good. But if I can't die in the endless war, then that might not be so bad. Well, I guess it's only like not dying, so you can suffer other injuries, so you could be alive with like no limbs and no eyeballs and no mouth, tongue, whatever else you need to function, but left alive. So that's not good. Um, I do feel that's a little simple for how much build up there is to it by Asa. Cause like once Asa dropped this, I feel if it's not something super creative, I'll be a bit disappointed. Let's see. Death still beats suffering, suffering with no death through suffering with no end. Oh, I guess in this situation, like, I was thinking who's going to make them fight each other to the end. I guess Yoru would do that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad, but it's like, I want it to be like really bad and really creative just because of Asa's hyping this up. She's building too much to it. Let's see, you Casanova, you're more of a birth life devil truther. Yeah, I guess that's the idea that Pochita is as a chainsaw is meant for giving birth because apparently chainsaws were originally invented to give birth to help childbirth. I have not given birth yet, so I haven't experienced that, but sounds terrible. And that could fit into the forgotten uses of chainsaws that Barum said. So I think that's a solid idea too, but I'm not really seeing the erasing part. I see like the birth part, the rebirth even, but I think the bigger thing that's like in the way of me fully accepting that is the erasing from reality part because chainsaws even while giving birth don't do that. But we'll see what happens. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, if I have to like put my money on it, that would be what I go with right now. But I do feel Fujimoto will just make something up to justify the erasing. I'm still thinking about the childbirth thing. Also, the childbirth thing is like in the 1800s. So that would make Pochita a relatively new devil, which doesn't really break anything, but I feel the implication up to this point is that Pochita, all of the devils are like thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of years old. But I do feel the childbirth thing could make sense as well because if I was a woman and I was giving birth and I see like a guy with a chainsaw walk up to me, I would just probably die of fear, die from a heart attack, just right off the bat. But yeah, let's see. Uh, Umbilical cord on black chain would make sense. Oh yeah. That's part of the idea as well. That his intestine-looking things are actually the birth cords. As long as it's not connected to Fire Punch. Fire Punch has a huge tree which would connect humanity to the crystal. You keep the baby in. I would keep the baby in too. I'm still stuck on the whole chainsaw birth thing because I don't see how it helps. Like you cut the hip bone, you get the baby out, and then what do you do with the hips? What do you do with the severed hip bones? Do you just leave it there? Man, sounds terrible to be a woman in like the 1800s. Actually, sounds terrible to be in the 1800s in general. But yeah, let me see what else I got. But I think I talked about most things I was going to talk about for the chapter. The rest, I have some. I guess I got some comments last week, more so than I usually do, and I figure we can maybe go over them as our outro for this instead. Because usually I end my streams by just awkwardly saying goodbye. And in this case, maybe I can address some comments from last week. I had more than usual. Not all of them are positive. So we love transparency, we love criticism, so we can maybe talk about some of this. So this guy says, how do you say Fujimoto didn't plan this out or simply imply it? Are we reading the same show? Reread Chainsaw Man Part 2, so much foreshadowing. Yeah, I do feel that's not completely fair to what I was saying, because I was going over like the first 10 minutes, I was going over how ways in which the reveal makes sense and fits. I did say that it's possible he didn't plan it out, which would be not good. And, I think it's not totally out there for authors. I think for authors of longer series, fans kind of just have it in their head that they plan every single aspect of the story out from the start, which is not really the case because some of these guys, they write like stories every week. They gotta draw every week. They gotta edit every week. They gotta talk to their editor, run it by them, get their approval, all that. So much work every week, it's insane. So I don't think they necessarily have most of it planned. I think Fujimoto himself said that he had, for part one, he had the beginning planned and the ending planned, but the middle, he was kind of just freeballing it a bit. And for Oda from One Piece, there's a lot of really series defining moments and characters that he later revealed that he didn't even plan from the start. He kind of just added them in at the spur of a moment, and they just turn out to be really relevant. So I think for a lot of series, even if it seems like they had it all figured out from the start, they might not necessarily do that. Although even in this case, I think he did because there are like you said, there are a lot of connections that make sense. Another thing for me, kind of saying that last week is that there are a number of plot inconsistencies for like the last 30 chapters. Some big, some small. Like I pointed out a couple throughout the weeks. A big issue I had was the timeline, where Barham said it's like 6 months, and then it somehow turned into like 1 month. So that's the biggest issue I had. A smaller plot inconsistency is maybe Denji, for when he was talking to Asa about his past, he said that he used to eat used toilet papers, but in the one of the flashbacks from early part one, after he ate Himeno's puke, he thought to himself when he was dumpster diving, he was laughing at like rats eating puke, and he's like, "Huh, look at these losers! I'll never eat puke. The worst thing I've ever eaten was just garbage." But that doesn't make sense if he's eaten toilet paper with poop on it. But yeah, that's about what I have to say to that. This guy said I would recommend you to cut the moments where you swallow because it's annoying. Yeah, that's valid. I can't really cut anything because it's a stream, but I adjusted my OBS settings to maybe filter out some of the swallowing noises. I added a noise gate. And also I adjusted the way I hold my mic. This is my fan art of myself. Because before I was holding it this way, directly in front of my mouth, but now I'm holding it sideways, like I'm about to destroy someone in a rap battle. So maybe that can help me not have as much swallowing noises. I will say though, some people would pay to have me swallow, but you know, different strokes, different folks, whatever. Casanova said, greatest chapter ever, to last chapter. Yeah, it was really nice. I really liked it. I wouldn't say the greatest chapter. I know it's not like he's not being exact, but my favorite chapter for part two, I think, gotta be the Falling Devil chapter, the one where the Falling Devil shows up in front of Asa. She had the building, the apartment residents just like jump off one by one. I think that was like by far the creepiest moment in the whole series. And ooh, I love that chapter very much. I think the subsequent chapters where she fights Denji is really good as well because you have Denji who you see like I guess the growth of Denji where he got chopped in half in the past by Katana Man and then he just went down like a loser. Whereas now he's fighting like one of the most powerful beings in the universe, almost evenly for a time at least. I love the Falling Chapter Devils. Those were the highlights for me in part two. But as a whole, as like Chainsaw Man as a whole, I think my favorite chapters are 84 and 85. 84 was when Makiba was explaining Pochita to Kishibe, and she mind broke him and the rest of us with the Pochita lore, with how he erases whatever he eats. He's the hero of hell and blah, 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 whatever. Big mind blowing chapter, but then the tonal shifts to the next chapter where he rescues Kobeni from McDonald's. Or not McDonald's, in Chainsaw Man, it's Family Burger. But Fujimoto still used the M for McDonald's on the cups. But yeah, those I'd say the those are probably my favorite chapters overall, along with the Darkness Devil chapter. She and then this guy kind of he talks about the how Fammy's we're not Fammy, god damn it. The Death Devil's plan makes sense because she wants to destroy humanity. She wants to bring apocalypse to humanity. And he thinks I'm an idiot for not getting that. But my thing is that the Death Devil feels like she didn't want to destroy humanity last chapter because she took out her own organs to stop herself. So that tells me that she may not want to, end humans. Also, she looks like a human, and Makima said to Aki once that devils that look like humans are more friendly towards humans. So that was my confusion. I'm still confused at what Fammy's plan is, though, because she wants to bring darkness to humanity. Yet she also wants to stop herself. So that's a. I don't know what her plan is. I guess we'll just wait and see. This guy also says my name is apt. I guess that's like appropriate. And because my name is Shitago, also you can read it as Shitago. Okay, so some lore for my name. This channel was originally supposed to be a Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed to channel, because that was my favorite series upon a time. Unfortunately, after I started the channel, I guess I would say the last fifth of the series wasn't that good because it's by the author of Oshinoko as well, and he started Oshinoko while finishing up Kaguya. So there was like he didn't do good with the ending, I don't think. So that makes it hard to do videos on it. It's still one of my favorites despite the ending, but disappointing. But anyways, the name comes from because the characters in some events of Kaguya was loosely based on this folklore called the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter in Japan. The characters in some stuff were based on that somewhat. The folklore was rumored to be written by a guy named Minamoto no Shitago. And Shitago, I thought that sounded cool. And no one else has taken that name at the time. And probably no one else will, because it's not a very good name. In hindsight, I should have known that people will call me shit ago. And you know what? It's funny. I'll take it. You can call me whatever you want. But yeah, I figured in the future, I can keep reading comments, positive or negative, for my outro instead of just awkwardly saying, signing off. Let's see. Da da da. She feels she doesn't have a choice. God forbid a girl disposes of her organs. We're pro-choice over here. Women can do what they want. Internet always going to be mean. I think I've been called worse by better people. Thank you, thank you. I'm fine with comments. I appreciate feedback. Actually, I really appreciate the swallowing guy, because I didn't realize I was doing that. I went back to listen to some of my other streams, and there was a decent amount of swallowing noises. So I was testing that out before on OBS, which is probably why I was like super late. I didn't realize it messed up my scheduled stream probably, which is why I didn't realize that was not streaming when I clicked it. But yeah, I had some new settings, got a noise gate, so hopefully it's better now. If I'm still making mouth noises, uh, Let's see. I missed the Kaguya bullet. N was trash. Oshinoko N was actually worse than Kaguya's. Okay, I actually didn't finish Oshinoko. I got through about chapter either 50 or 60. It was during the stage play arc, and then they cut to that one guy, the one of the side characters that they focused on a lot. I did not care about the guy, so I thought I will stop reading for a couple of weeks and then return to reading eventually. I didn't do that because I procrastinated and I just never got back to it. I do plan on getting back to it, but I heard the ending was really bad. I try to avoid specific spoilers for why it's bad, but I do plan on going back to read it one day. Actually, I feel I can do a reaction, like a read along on stream one day. That would be fun. It'd take a while. It would be like a long stream, but I think that's something I can do in the future. Let's see. Pro-choice means not keeping your organs. Hey, I don't tell women what to do. If that's what they want to do, that's their freedom to do what they want. Back in my hometown, they call me Mr. Feminist, and I hold that with pride. You're gonna miss the swallowing. Yeah, That's what. I'm not gonna make that joke. Oh, but let's see. Prison School author is the only mangaka you think of that makes all his manga have horrible endings. I don't think I caught up to Prison School's ending either. I heard it's like just end really abruptly. I don't really know how else they could have ended it. It's been so long since I read Prison School, like 10 years at least. 10 years at least. But yeah, I think as a rule of thumb, most endings for not just manga, but for like movies, shows are going to be iffy by default. Like, think of all your favorite series. How many of them actually had a really good ending? Not, I don't just mean like a fine ending, right? Because there are shows that's like a 9.5 out of 10 consistently. But then the ending is maybe like a 7 out of 10. And then some fans are going to be like, okay, the ending wasn't that bad. It's a passable ending. But for me, that's like not sufficient because I expect like a series with consistently good story to have like a even better ending, like a really good ending to tie it all together. So I can't really think of many off the top of my head, and that was like really good throughout and really good at the end as well. Oh man, you guys are listing. Ooh, listing series. Cowboy Bebop. I didn't. I got through maybe 6 episodes of that. I watched the other one, the Samurai Champloo though, not Cowboy Bebop. FMA. You know what my controversial opinion is? I feel Full Metal is like I like the first half of Full Metal a lot better than the second half. I do feel the second half drags on a bit, whereas the first half I was really like looking back. I feel it's a really good lesson on how to just like do cliffhangers. The first half because I really enjoyed the Roy Mustang political drama arc. Like that one scene where Roy Mustang walks into the boardroom, and then you have like what's the guy's name? The mustache man. Shit, the King Bradley, like just and his gang just like looking at it and pretending to be formal. That was my favorite scene in all of Full Metal. Whereas I feel the final battle for Full Metal kind of drags on a bit. I didn't feel Full Metal was like I don't feel the best best trait of Full Metal was the fights, but then they did a lot of fights at the end. And for those, I mean, it's not bad. It's still like a solid ending. I don't feel it reached the heights of the first half. Let's see. Both your favorite stories are looking like they will never end. Hunter x Hunter and the Song of Ice and Fire. Okay, so Song of Ice and Fire, that's never going to end. George, he's so for Song of Ice and Fire, I feel like George physically can't think of how to end it, but he had 5 books of setup to the White Walkers, and then 2 books to wrap it up, and then I feel like he didn't space it out good enough. Because I feel like it should be like 3 books for the War of the Seven Kingdoms build up, 3 books for maybe the Beyond the Wall, the White Walkers build up, and then the remaining books for the actual confrontation between the White Walkers and the rest of humanity. That would be like a more better pacing in terms of books. But then he kept adding more and more books to the human side of things. So it's like people blame the D&D guys, the 2 producers, for the Game of Thrones shows going bad. But I do feel like George has a lot of fault for just not giving them materials to go off on. I think he wrote himself into a bit of a corner. But Hunter x Hunter, I don't know how controversial of an opinion this is, but I feel the current Hunter x Hunter arc is like the best arc of them all. Like I'm so mind blown every time I read because every time a new Hunter x Hunter chapter comes out, I'll have to reread the past like 60 chapters to remember what's happening. And every time I read it, I'm just so impressed with how many characters have their own story arcs going on. I honestly feel like this current Hunter x Hunter arc is like the most ambitious story arc anyone's ever done that I've read. There's just so many moving parts to it. Ooh, man. But yeah, it would be great if Hunter x Hunter can get more than 5 chapters a year. I do feel after Akira Toriyama died, Togashi was been more active on getting the Hunter x Hunter to like he was more active in pushing the chapters out for a while last year. He started like updating his Twitter with his progress, his sketches and whatnot. And even if Hunter x Hunter doesn't end, I wish the current Succession War arc does end because this arc has been so good. But yeah, let's see. George has no motive to end it. He rather drag his feet till he gets isekai. I think George R. R. Martin has always been more into doing films than he has been like writing books. Cause I think he started as a scriptwriter, then he transitioned to like novel, and then for years he tried to get his books to be adapted into movies and shows. And I can't blame him. It's like that's where he's having fun. That's where like he's entering like the prime of his professional career, but late into his 60s. So it's like I can't really blame him for making use of it. And that's in that sense, it's kind of similar to not George, Frank Herbert of Doom for a bit. And that he also entered his professional prime pretty late into his life, into his like 60s, before getting movie offers, getting shows and whatnot, cinema adaptations. So I think that's maybe a difference from like Japanese artists and storytellers versus Western creatives, in that Japanese authors get famous really early. They push themselves, like they push their bodies to the limit really early, and then kind of burns out a lot younger than the Western counterparts do. Because in the West, you got like authors that can write well into their 50s, 60s, 70s. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. 10 chapters every 1 year if his wife makes Sailor Moon anime. Yes, his wife is. Honestly, I think it's crazy that, like, he isn't even the most famous mangaka in this household. Just crazy thing to think about. If his wife did the art, then we would probably get weekly. I don't think, even if that's the case, because for a while his wife did help out with the background, I think, but he never. I think he said in the past that he didn't want other people to do the art for him because some people suggested him to like hire an artist so they can just finally get this done, but he didn't want that. I do think the hiatuses help in how much he plans out the story and like how comprehensive some of the plot lines are. I don't think it's something that he can like replicate if he has to do a weekly series or even the monthly series. This is why I kind of recommend all authors of like long running series to take weeks off, even months off between arcs. I feel like that would really boost the quality of their writing. I feel if yeah, I was gonna talk about other series that no one brought up, but we're trying to not spoil anything. We hate spoilers around here. You just watch Hunter videos after reading a chapter so they remind you of what happened. Okay, so I actually don't watch any anime channels, any anime manga YouTubers, despite being one myself. And there's a specific reason for that. Because once you click on a anime manga video, YouTube is going to recommend like a bunch of other series for you. And the thumbnails is gonna spoil you. They're gonna like have like a character's head just staring at you. It's like, oh, this guy dead. So I never watch anything manga, anime analysis related. Which is, I appreciate you guys for watching me, because you guys probably got spoiler video recommendations left and right. But yeah. But yeah, I guess that's all I got for the week. My voice is giving out as well. Streaming for like an hour by myself to nobody was not good. But I do feel it gave me a bit of a better speaking ability this week. So maybe I should do a bit more rehearsals in the future. Because my workflow for these streams is that I come home from work, I pull up like Clip Studio Paint. I got some. Well, first of all, it's that when I read the chapters at work, I'll take some notes in the beginning on a little sticky note, and then I'll bring it home, and then I'll gather the panels that I want to talk about, and then I'll read it off the sticky note, and then I'll read the comments. So that leads to a lot of stuttering and misspeaking. But yeah, let's see. We got a couple more comments every week. Yeah, every week Chainsaw Man is over. Chainsaw Man died. Yeah, if you don't count part 2, Chainsaw Man part 1 is a great ending. I do think Fujimoto is not going to make the ending too bad at a bare minimum, because from like what we've seen of Fire Punch and part 1 of Chainsaw Man, he plans out the beginning of his stories and the ending of his stories. So I feel the ending itself won't be too bad, but I feel the middle parts could be better. Because one of the main points for the series right now is Denji and Asa and Yoru's relationship. And for a lot of it, they haven't really interacted at all until now. So I do feel the middling part could have improved, but I'll reserve my judgments for like after part 2 ends. Honestly, I feel like part 1's middle parts could be slightly better as well. I do feel the Katana Man arc wasn't that great. Reze arc was good. Like when I say not that great, I mean like maybe like an 8 out of 10. I do feel my standards are higher than most other readers though for stories in general. But I feel like Katana Man was okay. Reze arc solid, but there could be more. And I feel the International Assassin arc like only picked up after the Darkness Devil came in. But everything after that was like a roller coaster of just, it's really good. Let's see. Fire Punch has a weird ending. You didn't hate it. Yeah, I mean, ending was a bit weird, but it's like I, I here's the thing for my thing for Fire Punch is that I read it for the emotions rather than the logics of the storytelling, because there are stuff that doesn't make sense exactly, but it's like I feel the I feel Fujimoto does more character work. He's like a more character driven story writer than like a plot driven. So it's like even now I'm noticing some plot inconsistencies, but I'm still like, all right, let's see where this goes. But yeah, he I don't know, but Fujimoto just unique in how he writes, and I'll always be excited for whatever he does. But yeah, let's call it a day for now. We talked a lot more than I was expecting to. All right. Good night.